Coming up, I'm going to tell you the number one killer of all of our creativity, and then some interesting data. Gen Z and boomers finally have something in common about work, but what is it, and is it good? We'll break it down. Let's go. Helping you break through what's holding you back so that you're winning at work and in life. All right, so let's talk about creativity. Now, let's just set the context. Everybody listening to me, everybody watching me is creative. Some of you are going, Ken, I live in spreadsheets. I'm a number cruncher. I'm a doer You're creative. Everybody's creative. Everybody. All right, so let's just get that over with. You came into this world hardwired with imagination. You're creative. All right? So what is this killer of creativity? Because we've got to identify it and now take it head on. And this may challenge some of you in ways you've not been challenged before, but I would ask that you allow me to provoke your thought for a few minutes. This blocker of creativity sneaks up on us. This blocker of creativity is popular. This blocker of creativity is recommended by wise people or supposed wise people. What is it? It's conformity. Conformity is the number one killer of creativity. And you've got to be able to see it in order to root it out. If you're unaware of it in your everyday activity, you have no idea why you may be being held back. It's conformity. So let's go back to our childhood, if we could, for just a moment, because this gets taught to us very early on. Conformity is thrust upon us at our most innocent and imaginative season of our life, when we're young, child, imagination exploding. It's paint by numbers. Or the coloring book. I always love this paint by numbers example because the coloring book addresses conformity, but just barely. The coloring book gives you conformity in that it has a picture that's drawn out, and it is encouraged that you stay between the lines. At least parents and teachers stay between the lines. Color between the lines. And you know what's funny? They don't do that for kindergartners and toddlers, because you ever remember picking your kids up from maybe a church Sunday school or a church summer camp program, or just when you're preschool or in those early days of kindergarten. And you know the parents that are always like, they show up and the picture, maybe it's a picture of a dog and it just looks like this, right? It just looks like this. We all know what this is like. The kid's just like, oh, look, he colored the dog. And the kid just took the crayon and was like, argh. You know, that's normal. And as a parent, you're kind of like, oh, that's our kid's picture. That's great. I wonder if he was angry when he did that, right? And so this is when this sets in. Why? Because the picture is uniform, and thus our brains as adults are thinking conforming, uniformity, conformity, they're all working together. And so we're going, oh, wow, Junior needs to learn how to color between the lines, so we're going to work on that. But does he? Where does this lead? So that's your traditional coloring book. Paint by numbers is really, really the clearest example of teaching conformity at an early age. Because with paint by numbers, I still have the drawing. Let's say we'll stay with the dog. Okay. But what I don't have is the freedom to color whatever color I want, because the paint by numbers tells me, well, you need to do blue for number 2, green for number 3, and so on and so on and so on. So they've given us a picture, but now they've taken all the creativity away, because they've said you need to paint this part of the picture with the number on it, this color. And now we have conformity. This is best illustrated with this great Calvin and Hobbes cartoon. We're going to put this on the screen, and I'm going to read it to those of you who can't see it. It's got little Calvin, the little boy, looking at his buddy, the tiger, Hobbs. He says, "Look, Hobbs, I got a paint by numbers kit. It's really fun." Well, the tiger, Hobbs, looks at Calvin and says, "But you're not painting in the lines, and you're not using the colors that correspond to the numbers." "Way to go, Mr. Responsibility," our friend the tiger. So Calvin, the next frame, looks down at his art, and he looks back at Hobbs and says, "If I did that, I'd get the picture they show on the box." And then Hobbs, the tiger, says, "Ah." And that's the brilliance of that cartoon. Calvin didn't want to paint by numbers. He just wanted to paint. Hobbs says, "Wait a second, you're not doing it the way they told you to do it." And Calvin looks back and goes, "Yeah, you're right. But why would I want to paint something that's already on the box? Someone else did that." Brilliant. So in life, let's pull out of this for a moment, and let's talk about real world. In education, in finance, in work, those three areas dominate our lives. We are told to conform. We're told to conform. Got to have a resume. Got to put all this stuff on your resume. Got to have a degree. Got to get this on your SAT or ACT. Got to do this, got to do this, got to do this. Why? It's paint by numbers. That's what we deem as successful and worthy. Now, this works for people who really naturally do okay inside the lines, who really appreciate the paint by numbers. Tell me what to do, when to do, how to do it. A lot of people like that. A lot of people, whether they like it or not, thrive within it. They can adapt. But there are a lot of kids who become adults that were like me. Whether you have a learning challenge or full-blown disability that make you different and you can't do the one-size-fits-all, you get marginalized. So how do we make sure that in every area of our life, we're doing what we believe is right, what we want to do? Very simple. Get out a blank sheet of paper, and this is a metaphor. I want you to picture your life in every area, relationally, professionally, physically, spiritually, mentally, emotionally, whatever, and just go, what's the life that I want? Where am I now? Where do I want to be in any of those areas? And get out a blank piece of paper. And it's metaphorical, but you could actually do it and go, write it out. This is who I want to be, why I want to be this. This is what I want to do, why I want to do it. That's true creativity, is charting or drawing or painting from a blank canvas the life that you desire. After all, that's true art, is my interpretation on something else. I could certainly be inspired by something else, but what I do is my life, my version, and it's quite frankly what the world needs from me, because I am created uniquely to fill a unique role in this world. That means somebody needs me to show up and be me, and I'm going to do it, and you need to as well.
In order to get hired at a job you love, you need to get clear on your talent, passion, and mission. That's why our team created the Career Clarity Guide. In just a few minutes, this free tool will walk you through a process to discover what you do best, that's your talent, the work you love to do, that's your passion, and the results that matter to you, your mission. Then you'll feel more confident throughout the job search process. To get started, go to kencoleman.com/clarity.
Helping you get unstuck from whatever is keeping you stuck. It's usually fear and doubt. More on that in a second. But hey, first, we are growing, and I'm grateful for that. For those of you that are watching on YouTube, listen, the way you can help us continue to grow is if you're participating and watching this stuff, give us a like. That's the way the world works. It's an algorithm. I don't do it to be famous or cool. Look at me. I got no chance anyway. So you know I'm the real deal. But I'd love for you to like our clips, and it helps us grow because I'm here for one reason. I want people to be able to get clear on who they are and what they want to do, and I want them to be confident to do it. That's it. And that's why I'm here, because the world needs your contribution. So if you're listening via your favorite podcast app, give us a follow. That is the same algorithm that works for us, and we would appreciate it. Speaking of my mission being about helping people getting clear on who they are and what they want to do, and then having the confidence to step out and do that, if you are stuck, you're just not, something's got you stuck. And by the way, it does not have to be just professionally stuck. You're stuck. You got some fear about something in the future. You got some doubt about something. Fear is I am worried about something bad happening. Doubt is I'm just not believing that something good that I want to happen will happen. You just need to be encouraged. I seem to be in a room where I could feel like I'm not the only one that's trying to make a difference in my life and the lives of others, and I'm kind of on this slog, and I just need some encouragement. I think our event Breakthrough is for you, maybe for your friends and family. We have 3 dates coming to you: Chicago, Illinois, May 16th, Atlanta, Georgia, May 18th, Dallas, Texas, May 23rd. I'm going to be speaking on how to always have the confidence that you need when you need it most. It's a formula, and you can use it in any area of your life where you need to break through to get through something, to get over a hump. And then I'm going to be taking questions live from the crowd, intimate settings, and we're just going to do a good old-fashioned Q&A, and there's great power when we're all in the room together. So that's the event. It's called Breakthrough, kencoleman.com/events, kencoleman.com/events to get all the details. Chicago, May 16th, Atlanta, May 18th, Dallas, Texas, May 23rd. All right. Well, Gen Z and millennials, while very different generations, while having their very unique demographic nuances, they are aligned on how they view work in this particular way. And this is discouraging, but not surprising. From 2019 to 2022, according to my friends at Gallup, the share of people under 35 who reported being engaged with their jobs dropped from 37 to 33%. The lowest level since 2011. At the same time, the percentage of people who reported being actively engaged actively disengaged is all negative. Actively disengaged rose from 17% from 12%. So disengagement is increasing, engagement is dropping. It's all heading towards the same direction. And this is bad for companies, which means it's going to be bad for the economy, which means it's going to be bad for you. In other words, how many of you remember being in school where one problem student or person on the team got everybody else in trouble? Now, I played sports growing up, and I came from an old school group of coaches, and Bob's in the control room today. Bob, I know you and I both played sports growing up. We come from an old school era, and I was in an era that if one guy on the team was slacking on the running, we all had to run more. I'm busting my butt, Bob. I want to get done. I want to run and puke, thank you very much. And there's my buddy over there who's not giving it his all, and the coach goes, if everybody's not giving it their all, everybody's running more. You know what I'm talking about. We experienced that. You know, those are the good old days where, like, you develop grit because they forced it on you. You know what I'm talking about? You know, back in that day, if you threw up running, you kept running. You were running through your vomit. That's what it was like, all right? I'm grossing some of you out. But that's good old-fashioned grit, Alex. I know you don't like the image, but that's what it was. You were expected, Bob, if you were going to chuck it, you chucked it while you were running. So you had an option. chuck on the guy to my left or chuck on the guy to my right, or I just chuck going forward and run into it, and that's what you did. So, how in the world did I get on that? Sometimes even I don't know how I get on these rabbit trails, right? But the point I was making, I know how I got there. It's that when you have millennials and Gen Zers increasingly disengaged at work, they're dragging everybody down, just like the teammate did. The teammate wasn't giving their all, so everybody got punished. If you got a teammate who's out of shape and can't defend in crunch time, the team loses because he didn't suck it up. That's why the coach did that, by the way. So I want to make sure you understand this. Don't hear this data and go, well, yeah, it is what it is, Ken. No, it isn't. This is going to affect all of us. Gallup estimates that it costs the global economy $7.8 trillion every year in lost productivity. This last year in lost productivity. And then you got a lot of young workers who are stepping away because they're looking for fulfillment. They're not disengaged because they're lazy and shiftless. See, that's what you got to be careful of. So when I put data out like this, if you're not careful, guys like in my generation be like, I'm lazy, snowflake millennials. That's a generalization, and quite frankly, it's wrong. Here's what's going on. What's causing the disengagement? Here we go. They don't feel cared about. They don't have someone who's encouraging their development. They don't feel like they have opportunities to learn and grow. They don't have a best friend at work. And they don't believe that their opinions count. Now, you just roll through that list, and that is not limited to millennials and Gen Zers. But now you try to picture showing up every day in this environment. Let me say it again, and if you have to, close your eyes. Yeah, don't feel cared for. No one's encouraged me to get better. No opportunities to learn anything different, do anything with it. I don't have a really good friend at work. And I just don't think my opinion matters. Come on. It's an invitation to leave. And that's what they're doing. So leaders have to understand this, but you have to understand this about you as well. If you're not in a leadership position, you've got to understand, wait a second. How engaged am I? Where am I at on these? I mean, this is really a good checklist. And this is from the data, by the way. Are you in an office environment where you feel like the company leaders care about you as a person? Now, it doesn't have to be, best friends, it's not that. It just needs to be that they're aware of who you are and what's going on, that they care about you. When you've had a rough day, they've stepped up for you. You know when you're cared for. Do you have opportunities to learn and then do something with that knowledge? So what are some of the factors that have contributed to this? Well, first, we have to always start with leadership. You look at those factors that I just listed out. It is the leader's responsibility to make people feel cared for. It is the leader's responsibility to challenge and push people to learn, grow, and be able to do something with it. It is the leader's responsibility to create an environment where coworkers like each other. It is the leader's responsibility to make sure that everybody's heard. So it starts with leaders. Now let's look at what workers are doing and why they're doing it. A big part of this was the mass shift to work from home. It's shifting back now. The other thing is all of the digital tools like Slack and text and everything else in Zoom, we've taken away the personal connection. And part of the reason you're not engaged is because you're not acting like a human.
Are you wondering if you should leave your current job or stay put? You're not alone. That's why we created the Should I Quit My Job quiz. In just 5 minutes or less, this quiz will help you determine if you're at the right company and if you're in the right role. If you need to make a move, you'll even get practical next steps to keep you moving forward. Listen, stuck is a choice, and life is too short not to do what you were created to do. To take the quiz, go to kencoleman.com/quiz.
All right, so we've got another viral story here to report on, and I have mixed emotions on this, and I'm curious to know what you think. What say you? You know what we need, Alex? We need a poll. We need a little in-segment poll on this kind of stuff. You know what we need? We need a text in on this kind of thing, because I'd love to know what people think when they watch this. This is pretty fascinating. Okay, so here we go. This is from a Reddit thread. And this is a mom. And I guess this got viral. Is that right? It did got some traction. Okay, so here's the story. A mom goes on Reddit and says she's got 3 kids, 16, 12, and 8. And she took them to the zoo. She's telling a story about taking her kids to the zoo. And it was a mostly good experience. Her oldest child, she goes on to say, he's not very fond of animals. So you can imagine. And by the way, he's 16 and he doesn't like animals, and you took him to the zoo. Okay, I'm just pointing out a few things as we get into this, because this has got some layers to it. So he's not got a great attitude. So at one point, they all walked past a zookeeper who was cleaning the giraffe exhibit. Yikes. Now, I don't have to say anything else when I say that here's a guy or gal that's cleaning the giraffe exhibit. None of you went immediately to the leftover carrots that Gerald the giraffe didn't eat. You're immediately thinking, holy, how big are Gerald's turds? That's what you started thinking. Okay, I'm just saying, I'm keeping it PG. All right, that's what you're thinking. You're like, whoa. Like, and I'm going to go a step further here, because I think it needs to be said. It's one thing for a large animal that may be only 4 or 5 feet tall to drop something. It's another thing for a giraffe. What do you figure the giraffe's hind end is off the ground? Good 8 feet, yeah? So it's a large animal, so large droppings. And then secondly, they're dropping from a high level. So you've got a splatter factor going on. And some of you are going, why is Ken going into this detail? I think it's necessary, because it's not a nice little poop pile. I imagine it's like a poop bomb. And so this poor person is cleaning this up. This is not easy. It's not tidy. Like my golden doodle, Alex, when I go out it's pretty simple. I got a little tool, little shovel, and his turds are kind of nice and compact, and I can scoop them. This is a giraffe's turd pile. All right. It's not easy. Well, so her 16-year-old son says to his brother, who's 12, that's why you do good in school, or else you're going to end up scooping poop for a job. Well, listen, this upset the mom. The mom's upset. She doesn't like his attitude. But I mean, is he wrong? I don't know. I don't know enough about who's scooping up the pile of poop, how high up the ladder that is. What's that pay an hour? I don't know. Well, so she gets upset about it. And so I'm going to skip through all the back and forth. But as she's challenging him on his attitude, like she thinks he's looking down on manual labor. I'm not sure he was. I think he's going, good grief, man. How many shovelfuls of that would I have to deal with before I wanted to climb out of the cage? I think that's fair. Well, mom took it way more serious, I think, and she's now, why do you look down on this? Some zookeepers have master's degrees. Sure. But mom, I'm not sure the ones with the master's degrees are out there shoveling the gigantic giraffe pile of poo. So her example is, so then she says, I don't like how he's learned to look down on manual labor, but particularly zookeeping. So I signed him up to volunteer at the zoo. And she went on to say that the father's attitudes maybe influence his son's perception. Now it's the dad's fault. Cleaning up messes is easy. In that anyone can do it, but it doesn't mean I want to, is what the kid said. The teen's father thought the punishment of volunteering for a week at the zoo was too harsh, but she stuck with the decision. Well, I appreciate that the mom is attempting to say, look, you shouldn't look down on any type of work. And mom, completely agree. However, making him volunteer at the zoo as a punishment, I'm not sure I like that gesture. Maybe doing some research as to the type of people that work in the zoo, the type of work they love, why they love it, giving a perspective on hard work. Because here's the point. I had some fun with the giraffe poo, but it actually is going to come full circle, Alex. And here's where. I don't know if the person that was scooping the poo does that all day, every day, or if that's just part of what they have to do. So, for instance, in my job, there are things that I have to do sometimes as a part of my job that I don't look forward to. Every job, no matter how much you love it, has some menial tasks, things you got to do. So, I mean, look, I'm a husband and I'm a father. So, a good husband helps his wife change diapers. I did not enjoy changing my kids' diapers, but I did it. It was one of the things that I didn't enjoy. I hated cleaning the bottles. Oh, it was a great day in my house when we finally got rid of bottles and went all sippies. It's a game changer. Because I was always the machine wash guy, like the dishwasher. All of a sudden, I'm in 1950. I don't know how to talk about washing. I called it a washing machine. It's a dishwasher. I mean, there are things that we all do. I mean, I hate meetings. I'm in so many meetings here. I hate them all. I don't hate our show production meeting. I want to point that out. I do like planning the show. No, I really do. Because that's not a meeting. You know what that is? That's a creative, imaginative meeting where we're really having fun. But a lot of my meetings I hate. But guess what? I don't walk in going, oh, I hate this meeting. It's part of the deal. I got to do it. It's a deal. So I like the idea of explaining hard work and explaining to this young man, because I do believe that our teens need to, A, see hard work, B, experience hard work, and C, understand it. Now, number one, see it. Because I think it's okay for a kid to walk by a construction site and see some guy schlepping wood, back-breaking work, sweat, and go, I don't want to do that. That's okay, moms and dads. Why? I did it. I worked on a construction crew. I was like, I don't want to do this. But there's other people who want to do that. So it's the very first sign of, my kid doesn't want to do it. What I would have liked mom to do is said, what is it about that made you feel that way? Where you go, I want to do well in school and be successful, so I don't have to do that. What's that? Because now the kid's going to reveal, well, number one, I don't like animals. Number two, I don't like getting my hands dirty. I don't like the smell of poo. You might get something good out of it. You might not. But we're beginning to see what created that reaction. That's what the mom should be focused in on. So let them see hard work and let them react to it. They need to do hard work for them. Didn't have to be at the zoo, but they need to do hard work. And then they need to understand what I was talking about. Parents, you got to sit down and go, listen, you can be in a job you absolutely love, but there are times you're going to have to do some tasks, step into a role that you don't really love, but it's just part of the admission. It's the price of admission. You want to go to the amusement park? Guess what you got to do? Stand in line. It's part of the deal. You can't be on the ride going, ah, without standing in line going, how long is this going to take? I mean, this is the deal. And so parents, that's what we got to explain about work. All facets of work, so that work is not this confusing, nasty thing, that it's worthy, that it's necessary.
Did you know that recruiters take an average of 6 seconds to scan a resume? And that's if they ever see it in the first place. In fact, 75% of resumes are rejected before reaching a hiring manager. Listen, folks, if you want to get hired, you've got to make your resume worth noticing. That's why we created How to Write the Perfect Resume. This free guide will walk you through the 5 steps to stand out in the hiring process to get you your dream job. If you want to get started, go to kencoleman.com/resume.
All right, time to coach some people up. Let's go. Bedford, Virginia, just outside of Lynchburg, where I spent some time in college. Kristen is on the line. Kristen, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm great.
Good. How can I help you today?
Well, I am 45, and I am right now a homemaker and caretaker. My father lives with me, and I have an adopted special needs daughter, and I have 2 other teenage daughters at home. And I'm just thinking about the future and how I could do something in a few years and how I can prepare for that and what to do. And
yeah, I love this call.
I get a lot of ideas, yeah.
Good. Well, that's a great sign. I would love to know if you were to think really quickly about a lot of the ideas you've had lately or some ideas that have always kind of stayed at the top of your head and heart,
Mm-hmm.
if there's a theme. Is there a theme? Does that make sense, my question?
Yes.
What's the theme?
The theme is probably encouraging people, and I always wanted to be a missionary, and I've always I like discipling people, like women.
Great.
I like disseminating information.
Mm-hmm.
I went to school to be a teacher, and then I did human services in my master's.
Nice. All right. So this is great. So what are the
I've
ideas?
worked in mental health.
Okay, good. So you are by nature, I see some themes here.
Yeah.
I think you care deeply for people. You have huge compassion.
Yeah, for sure.
And you also have a love of instruction because you see a need, you feel deeply, but then you want to inform, instruct, guide.
Correct.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. So what are the ideas that you are, because let's just strip all this. It's just you and me. Okay. Let's just strip all of the doubts and fears away. And let's just assume that you can actually do, when the season of life allows you, you can do the thing you want to do. Which one of all the things you think about, which is the one you try first?
I think I would like to tell people stories to encourage others or share, advocate for missionaries.
How would you advocate for missionaries?
I don't know. I don't really know that world too much, but if they needed someone to speak for them while they're on the field and to encourage them and other people when they can't be here to do it.
Interesting.
Share their stories.
Yeah, now we need to get a little more concrete than this. So I'm going to pull you back into, because the share the stories part, I think you can figure that out later. But as far as helping missionaries while on the field, what are their needs? Have you talked to some missionaries, say, hey, what are your biggest needs that you wish you had support and help for while you're overseas? Have you had that conversation?
I have not.
That's where I'd start.
Okay.
Because we'll never be, as much advice as I could give you, and I could try to get creative on this call, but I will hit a limit right there. Because we need to know specifically what needs they have. What support do they wish they had while they're overseas?
Right.
So you need to start there. And I would interview at least 3 missionaries, missionary families, or mission organizations. Go, hey, because if you're going to do this, you have to have a product or service. So if you're going to go work, unless this is going to be all ministry and volunteer, is there a plan to get paid for this?
I mean, that would be nice too.
All right. Well, that's the point. So here's the deal. We must think in terms of a service or a product.
Okay.
Sometimes it's both.
Right.
So as you begin to gather information and learn about this, the ideas will come to you if you have a construct like, okay, so based on their needs, What service could I provide? Based on their needs, what product could I provide? Now, understand that these missionaries are limited financially.
Right.
So you got to think through that.
Right.
And so every idea you have, so you could go, well, as I look into that, maybe I'm just going to do that as a ministry, a personal ministry. But I'm going to go over here and get paid to help these people. So here's what I want to do. I want to give you my Get Clear assessment, okay?
Okay.
This is a 15-minute assessment, and you're going to get a very detailed report on what you do best, what work you love, and then what results motivate you to get fired up, right? And it's going to put it in a purpose statement. It's going to help you with more ideas, okay? So hang on the line. I'm going to get you that assessment and my book, From Paycheck to Purpose, which will help you get there once you figure out what there is.
According to Glassdoor, the average job offer attracts over 250 applicants. If you've made it to the interview, you've already made a great impression. So now is the time to showcase how you are the best choice for the role. That's why we created How to Win the Interview. This free guide will walk you through the 5 strategies to help you stand out amongst the competition. With just some intentionality, you can prepare yourself to win the interview. Go to kencoleman.com/interview.
All right, question time. I want you to answer this as you're listening or watching to me, wherever you are. I want you to truly give this just a 10-second thought, and I want you to just verbalize it in your head or out loud, or write it down. Here's the question. What is the biggest question that people wrestle with? What's the biggest question in our lives as we are growing up, maybe in our middle age? What's the question? And I want you to say it your way, okay? Because by the way, there's no right or wrong answer. I'm going to give you what I think the answer is, and I'm going to give it to you the way that I think we ask it at its core. But I want you to think that. What is the haunting question? Some of you are thinking, am I loved? That's up there. Okay. Some of you are asking, or some of you said it's, do I matter? That's up there. Some of you said, why am I here? Why am I here? Like, not where you stand, but why am I here? Like, what's this whole human life global? We got planets. I'm on this planet. There's a bunch of them out there. Where do I fit in this gigantic universe? I think that's closer. The way I would word it is, what am I supposed to do in my life? I think it's the biggest question, and I'll tell you why. It is the question that doesn't have to be taught. Am I loved? Do I matter? Those don't have to be taught. And neither does the question, what am I doing in my life? Why am I here? What should I do in my life? Nobody has to teach you that. So where does it come from? So however it's worded, wherever you answer, what's more important is, what is at the source of that question? And here it is. I believe that we are different from the rest of the living world. You got animals, and you got humans, and now we have robots. And there's some pretty awesome animals. Pretty smart, pretty fierce. And there's some pretty crazy robots that are building, and this AI stuff is mind-blowing. But you know what those two creatures don't have that humans have? A soul, a spirit. And I make no bones. I'm not going to go off into this, and you can disagree with me all you want to, because it's a major point, but rather minor in this discussion. and that is this. I believe that we have a creator and that we were created to be creative, to contribute. And the data bears it out. People that are unhappy, not doing something they enjoy at work, live on average 10 years less than people who are happy and creating and doing something, contributing, something that they go, okay, I got some meaning out of this and some happiness. Go look at the data on retirees who go from working and engaging and doing something to just sedentary and stopping, their whole body collapses. Now, why do I bring this up? If you agree with me, despite the source, that what is different between us and robots and animals is that we have a soul and a spirit that longs to experience love and experience challenge and experience achievement. If you believe that, then you then have to say, that's why we ask the question, what am I supposed to do? We long to make our mark. I was telling Alex this at a meeting recently that I think if you just break it down to the simplest thing, everybody kind of wants us to make their mark. I want to know that I made a difference, that I loved well, that other people loved me, that I did a few things where people went, "Ah, boy, way to go, Kenny boy, you did something good today." See, we all want to experience that. I want to be loved, but I also want somebody to go, "You did a good job there. That's pretty good." And so that's what drives the question. Now, the problem is that we have made advances in technology that are mind-blowing. I think of the car. I think of a plane, which led to spaceships and fighter jets. And I think of computers and now AI. It's mind-blowing. We teach math. We teach science. We teach English. But you know what we don't do? Institutionally and as a society, there is not a construct, even in all of the education we have in this country and around the world. You know what we don't teach? How to learn about you. We don't teach kids how to learn about themselves. We put them in the school system, and from the minute their little 5-year-old brains get in there, all they're trying to do is just hide eating the crayons. And you're trying to teach them how to get uniform and conformed and answer questions the rest of their life. And we unwittingly beat the curiosity out of them. Let me put it to you this way. Watch this 2-minute drill. Here's what's happening in our world. A kid is born. They're naturally imaginative. And the minute they begin to talk, they ask questions. They ask hundreds of questions a day. They drive you poor parents nuts. Why? Are they trying to be obnoxious? No, they're trying to get to the bottom of everything. They're learning everything. Everything's like this. Everything's new. They're wondering. I wonder why this works. And not only are they wondering, they are experiencing wonder. Wow. Remember the first time you do that stupid finger trick and show a kid, look, I pulled my finger off. Or you steal their nose. The kid's like this. They're not idiots. They're creatures of wonder. Now watch. Stay with you. It's going to go fast. They get into the school system. They get turned into answer givers, test takers. By the time they reach the 8th grade, the average American student is only asking 2 to 3 questions a day. By the time they reach the 9th grade, all the cultural pressure, principal, guidance counselor, coaches, teachers, parents, siblings. Hey, you got to get good grades. You got to get a good GPA. You got to study hard, take that pre-SAT or pre-ACT so that you have a good GPA and a good standardized test score so that colleges will accept you. So now my acceptance, the most important thing in my life, everybody's telling me I got to do this well, and I'm going to get accepted based on how many answers I get right. So we beat the curiosity out of them. In other words, they go from wondering to wandering through an assembly line system. They got to pick a school. They got to pick a major and find a job all before their brains are fully developed. 23, I think it is for women. 25, 26 for men. Let's be honest, I don't think my brain's ever going to finish developing. It's underdeveloped. That's for all you women out there to say, amen. Why do I run you through that? That is the process of life. It's a superhighway. And we are taking our kids and we're taking them from wondering to wandering. And they end up calling my show in their mid-30s and 40s going, I don't know what I want to do with my life, or I'm not happy. So it's time to stop. That's the problem with the system. It is outdated. It was created to literally build workers who are happy going into a factory and doing the same job all over the place. Tell me my command. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. What do I need to know? What do I need to do? Give me a report card. And that's why we have the way we work. That's why it was created. So parents, you're sitting there going, Ken, I believe this. You're right. What do I do? I've created a curriculum for your child to go through it. You can go with it at home. It is from our Ramsey Ed team. It's Foundations in Career Discovery. It comes with a student assessment that will allow your student to take an assessment and for the first time in their life may be able to clarify with you what they're talented at, what really lights their heart up, and then what motivates them. And those three pieces come together for a purpose statement and a path forward. Get it right now at RamseySolutions.com, the Foundations in Career Discovery. Parents, help your kids discover their future.
Thanks for listening to The Ken Coleman Show. For more, you can find the show on demand wherever you listen to podcasts and watch the show on YouTube. You can also find Ken across all social media by following @Ken Coleman.